Smith. You can't have my sandwich. You can't have my sandwich. No, no. Good boy. I love you. I love you. I love you. You can't have my sandwich. No. You can't have my sandwich, but I love you just the same. Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, August the 22nd. It's about 7 o'clock. I'm going into work a little bit later this morning because we have meetings that run until late in the afternoon. So instead of getting in at 7, I'm going to get in about 8. I normally don't try to go that late because of the school buses and stuff, but it'll be all right for just this one day. Yeah, so I hope that you're enjoying watching these Vlogusts. I know that a lot of people watch these things and they expect certain content, and this is just my day-to-day life, and some days I make things and some days I don't, and some days there's a lot of farm stuff and some days there's not. There's always a little. So I hope that you're enjoying these. I appreciate all the positive feedback that I've gotten. You know, I was thinking about, I was watching the Skein-Deer Vlogust, and she was talking about even as someone as prominent as she is in the fiber community, being a designer and everything, you know, some days her vlogs are not very fiber related. Mine certainly are not, because I am not prominent at all in the fiber community. I'm just a knitter, and I think I'm just a knitter really with a small K. I'm not a knitter even with a capital K. But I do enjoy making things and crafting, and I hope that y'all have enjoyed seeing all the different things that I do. I'll never probably be a designer of patterns, because that's just not my, that just seems overwhelming to me right now to try to figure out the, you know, something new and original, and then to put it out there graded, you know, for I mean, it just seems too much to me, and that's not an area where I feel like I could excel, so I'm gonna let other people that are better at it do it. But anyway, I'm not a yarn dyer by any stretch of the imagination, you know, so I am not a prominent member of the fiber community, but I guess partly I do this because like I said, I'm a teacher at heart, and if I can share something with you that I feel like is worth knowing, then that's kind of why I do it. And I guess that's why, instead of naming this a knitting or a crafting podcast, it's just a little bit of my day. I hope that y'all enjoy that format. A lot of y'all seem to, so I really appreciate that. So today it's beautiful 66-degree morning. There's a heavy dew on the ground. In fact, my feet are a little bit wet from walking across to put the chickens out. I was noticing, I'll turn this around, if you look at my oak trees, let me put it outside the window where maybe you can see a little bit better. My oak trees, there's just a hint of color starting to turn in those oak trees. Okay, so that tells me that you know, this change of seasons is a-coming, you know. Even though it's August, but it definitely it's starting to feel like fall a little bit. You know, school starting and all of that too helps that along. Anyway, I hope that y'all are having a good start to your day. And I'm gonna head to work. I thought the sun looked pretty, and I thought I would share that with you. Isn't that beautiful? The shade on top of my chicken coop doesn't look so pretty, but that blue tarp, but I thought the sun was pretty this morning. Everyone say hello. I'm taking a video on my farm page. I'm doing a Vlogust on my farm page. So. Beginning of the year faculty meeting, yay! Brought knitting.
Something to do.
Get to hear one of our colleagues speak, because he's president of the faculty senate.
He's president of the faculty senate.
All right, good deal.
Faculty.
Woo!
Welcome. Welcome to the start of an exciting new year. We, the faculty, are excited to meet, greet, and teach a new group of students, more than 2,000 freshmen, together with our returning and transfer students. At this point, I want to recognize the faculty senator for 2018-19.
We already believed in the mission of this type of university. I mean, that led it to be, hey, there's the type of school that I would want to be a part of. But what we didn't understand was what an incredible community there is here. Not just UCA, but Conway is an amazing place to live. It's actually Actually, Dr. Holt mentioned that earlier. And we really are part of a region of this state, and forget the state, we're part of the region of the U.S. That really is, there's a drive of entrepreneurship, creativity, innovation.
Well, we're done with the convocation, and I'm headed back to my office to eat some lunch. This is our science building in the back. That's where the planetarium is. I saw one of my former students who's now working as an instructor in the math department, so that was nice to catch up with her a little bit. And we were talking about experiences and how you open yourself up to experiences all over the world, but you don't just have to travel for experiences and wonderful, wonderful experiences if you're open to them even right where you're at, which I thought was kind of cool. So I got to visit with her for a little bit, and the convocation was good. I mean, I'm glad that I went because it's nice to hear kind of what the focus is for the upcoming year for the university. So now I'm just walking around doing some Pokemon, and then I'm gonna go eat my lunch, and we got a College of Natural Science and Math meeting at 1. So today is the day of meetings. That's our infamous purple AstroTurf football field, purple and gray. And apparently now there's a new rule in the conference that you can't have those colors. Ours is grandfathered in, but when they change it out, it's going to have to go back to being green. Something about it's an unfair advantage because if our team gets to practice on it and then a new team comes in, it messes them up, which that kind of makes sense. But yep, the infamous purple football field. So what are you doing? You're painting the whiteboard?
I'm painting whiteboards.
Is that to keep the stuff off your clothes, or are you painting with some toxic paint?
I haven't crossed over to the really dangerous stuff. We're going to do that when no one's around.
With the glow-in-the-dark stuff?
Yes.
Space to expand, but we don't have the money to do it, and we can't expand until spaces like the one we're in are renovated. Most of the space that is currently vacant in this building either has never been renovated in 53 years since the building was built, or was last renovated more than 20 years ago.
Well, we just finished our 3rd meeting in a row. Been in a meeting since 9:30 this morning. So we finished up with our department meeting, kind of finding out what's going on with our department for this year. And signed up to do some recruiting off campus at some of the different college days and stuff. They're asking some of the faculty to go to those. Our department chair normally goes, but we had tried to hire an engineering faculty member and it fell through at the very last minute, and so our department chair is having to step up and teach some classes, and so he can't do as many. Anyway, so I'm gonna get to go do some recruiting days, which I like doing those. Those are fun anyway. And I just saw some poor freshmen wandering through the halls of our building looking for their classroom. Our building is not laid out in any kind of sensible way. It was built in 3 parts. The oldest part, well, the very new part up front, but then the oldest part is the front. And then there was a middle section. It was built in the 60s. Middle section was added in the late 60s, and the back part where my office is and some of our pit classrooms was built in the 70s. And then they didn't renumber the rooms. So you jump from 110, 114 to 140, and then you jump, and when you cross the next hallway to 170, and then there's a little annex that's 140, and then down. I mean, it's really confusing. And so the freshmen wander around the first day of classes looking extremely lost, and I don't blame them. So I told them, I usually just ask them off the bat, is it a biology class or a physics class? Because if it's biology class, it's in that hall, the other hallway. If it's physics class, it's this hallway. So I just saw them looking confused, so I just stopped and asked them and butted in and asked them if they needed some help, and got her figured out. So that was good. Well, first of all, she was looking up her instructor's name on the directory. I'm like, no, honey, that's his office. That's not his classroom. So you need to go look at your schedule and see what the classroom is. So, but anyway, hopefully she'll find it. But kudos to them for coming out early and looking for where their class is. That's encouraging. But anyway, so yeah, so finished up with meetings for today. Gonna head home. Got to go by and pick up that special bag of feed at the feed store, and then I'm probably just gonna cook some supper and knit. I think I'm gonna frog that pair of socks because I've knitted them I didn't feel like they were that loosely knitted, but then Stephanie looked at them last night, and then I kind of looked at them again, and they really are too loose. I need to tighten my gauge up, and I'm so far into them now I can't tighten it up enough to fix it. So I think I'm going to frog that pair of socks. I hadn't quite talked myself into it yet, but we'll see. We'll see. At any rate, they're on timeout right now, so yeah, that's kind of, or I may just cut the yarn and start over because I'm pulling from the outside of the ball and the inside at the same time because I'm doing 2 at a time, and so frogging it and trying to wind that up would be a big mess. So I may just cut my yarn, and we'll see. I don't know yet. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna head home and take care of everybody, and that's pretty much it. Okay. Well, I just heard the deer up at the barn again. They've been coming up there just about every evening. I just heard them blow when I came outside to let the dogs in. So I'm home, obviously. I have fed and filled up water for everybody, and treated Gusty's foot, and treated the pigeon's little head. The pigeon is doing a lot better, so I'm real happy about that. I'm just sitting out here. Muffins has decided she wants to roll around in the grass for a while, so I'm sitting out here with her just enjoying the evening a minute before I go inside and cook some supper. Sorry, I had a message I had to answer. I'm sitting out here. My friend Kathy works as an inventory control person for a particular company, and she goes to Walmart's and Tractor Supply Company and places like that, and she finds really good clearance deals, so she tells about them or posts them on Facebook. Well, she messaged me privately today because they had a whole bunch of knitting needles and crochet hooks and Afghan hooks on clearance at one of the stores she was at, and they were like dirt cheap clearance. So I mean, they're straight needles, but you know what, they have their uses, and they were 75 cents. So she got me 2 pairs of 6s and 2 pairs of 9s. And then she got these 2 Afghan hooks, and they were all 75 cents a piece. So for all these, I think it was $4.50 or something like that. So can't complain about that price, right? I've been texting with some friends of mine from grad school. They've built a new physics building out where I got my PhD, and they're going to do a building dedication. And my PhD advisor was asking me if I was coming, if I'd gotten my invitation, and it's 4.5 hour drive. I'm kind of debating on going simply because my friend Chris, that we kind of went through the program at the same time, messaged me the other day and said, have you talked to John lately, our PhD advisor? And I said, well, I'm texting him every once in a while, and he's finally on Facebook now, so every now and then he'll pop up liking something that I have posted. And he said, well, you know, his mom, and I knew his mother had just passed away, and you know, it doesn't matter how old you are, because he's probably in his 70s, late 60s, 70s now. No matter how old you are, it still hurts when you lose your mother. And you know, he doesn't have a lot of family. He's like me. He and his wife passed away about 3 or 4 years ago, and they had been together since they were in college, and they were like this wonderful couple, you know, like you'd see in some old 50s movie. And she passed away, I guess it's been about 4 years ago now, or 3 years ago, and I went to see him. I take a group of students after the National Severe Storms Lab every other spring, and a year ago this past spring we had gone out there, and he was thin and he just didn't look like himself. And Chris had said, well, you should text him because he's taking his mom dying really hard. So I messaged him and messaged back and forth with him, and I said, you know, you got to remember Chris and the other Chris and me, we're your family too. You know, we're your family too. You raised us just like I'm raising the kids now. You know, because I owe him my PhD. He drugged me kicking and screaming at times to my PhD, and I owe him that. But anyway, so I think I may go out there and go to it just so I can see him. The dedication part of the building is like 10 a.m. and then they're having a gala that night, or a gala, whatever you want to call it, a big to-do, a big doings that night. I don't know that I would stay for that because it's like $40 to go, and you probably have to dress up, and then I would have to stay in a hotel. But I could drive out there and back in the same day, especially if I can talk my friend Carol into riding along with me. She fell and hurt herself really bad the other day, hurt her ankle, and tore her tendon, she thinks. She went to the urgent care clinic and they said, yeah, you probably tore your tendon. You can go get an MRI, but that's what they're going to tell you. So she's like, I'm good. But anyway, so I'm kind of wondering about going out there for that. And I'm wondering about frogging these socks. You know, I didn't really, I just kind of was in denial about how loosely I was. I felt like I was knitting them fairly tight, but then Stephanie looked at them last night, and now I'm looking at them going, you know, they're pretty loose. So, I mean, you know, they're pretty loose. So I think I don't think I'm gonna frog them. I think I'm gonna cut the yarn and just start over. And then if I need the extra yarn for those afterthought heels, I'll just frog it and use it for that. And I'm gonna try to knit them tighter. So I think that's what I'm gonna do, because now I'm just thinking that is way too big for my foot, and I would end up giving them, I mean, I could put them in the dryer probably and make them smaller, but the whole time I'm going to be knitting them now, I'm just going to feel defeated. So I think I'm going to cut the yarn. I've got plenty of yarn left. I could just cut the yarn and then use that for my afterthought heel if I want to. I think that's what I'm going to do. Yeah. Anyway, I think I'm going to end that. I'm going to end here today. I don't want to, I feel like I'm kind of just doing the same thing over and over, and it's kind of boring. So that's what I do. My life is not that exciting. Anyway, I hope y'all are doing good. I appreciate everybody talking back and forth on the comments. I appreciate you very much for doing that. Don't forget, I am starting a new charity make-along in my Ravelry group that you should go check out, because I am going to start a charity make-along September 1st. I don't know what the prizes will be yet. Don't worry, they won't be the clearance sale knitting needles. They'll be something else. But anyway, so go check out my Ravelry group. It's Diary of a Physicist Farmgal on Ravelry. I think I'm gonna call it good for tonight, y'all, and because it was just a meeting day, meetings and meetings and more meetings, and you kind of are gonna see that, or I saw that from the blog. So Muffins says she's ready to go back in. Where you at, Muff? Come here, where the people can see you. Yes, there's my girl. She's a girl. She showed up like the day we put my dad in hospice. She showed up here. Sweet little girl. She'd been shot in the leg. Somebody shot her in the leg with a buckshot, and I took her to the vet, and they said, well, we can dig it out, or it'll just encapsulate. It'll be easier on her if we just leave it there. And I'm like, okay. She's a good girl. She's a sweet girl. Yes, and she follows me every step. Good girl. Anyway, yeah, so I'm gonna call it a night. I hope y'all have a good restful evening. I hope that your day has gone well, and until I talk to y'all tomorrow, y'all be good to each other and take care of each other, and peace out, right, Muffins? Yes, peace out. Bye.